Listen, this may be a couple of parts, right? This is my testimony about diabetes. It started in 2014. So, but before I get into the hospital part, let me tell you this. I'm talking to my granddaughter. Me and her having a conversation. She like 9 months pregnant at this time. And so I'm turning like this, speaking to her. And then the next thing you know, I see an octopus crawl out the top of my head on the side. It was black. And I jumped like, and looked like that, right? And then she jumped a little. She was like, "What's going on?" And then I was getting ready to tell her what I saw. And I was like, "Nothing, nothing." Because I didn't want to scare her, and she pregnant and everything. So I kind of pulled it and slung it. And then it went away. And so I'm like, that's odd. But it wasn't that odd because a couple of nights prior to that, I felt two evil spirits touch the top of my head. And then when I looked up, like I called Yahweh and I was doing this, and I looked up and I saw two dark spirits like ascend. And I was like, I started praying, but I didn't pray correctly. And then, so anyway, back to a couple of days later, I see the octopus. And then I'm saying to myself, did they put that octopus in my head? So one day, a couple of days after that, my friend came over and I was scratching my leg, and she was like saying, "Sis, I'm not trying to speak nothing on you, but I think, my daddy, he used to have diabetes and he was scratched like that." And I said, "Oh, okay. I ain't think no more of it or anything." And so my couple of days after that, my granddaughter had a doctor's appointment, and I was going to take her because she couldn't fit behind the wheel. So I had to drive, but I really couldn't see. And so she was like really navigating everything. We get to the doctor. I said, "Well, here, since I'm here, because it was my family hospital too, my family doctor." So, excuse me, I'm like, "Let me see the doctor in the emergency room too, where I'm here." So you know how they do your blood pressure and all of that stuff first. They went to do that, and then they didn't send me back in the waiting room to wait to be called. She sent me in the back immediately. And then when I got to the back, she was like, "I think I think your insulin, I think you're diabetic, but I don't know yet." And so it felt like I was about to pass out. And so like three doctors came rushing in and poking me and checking my heart and everything. And I was like, "What's going on? Y'all scare me." Because the nurse did like a cold blue almost, something like that. And that's when the doctors ran in. So one of the doctors was a lady. She told me, she said, "You slipping into a diabetic coma." And I said, "I ain't no diabetic." And then she was like, "Yes, you is. Your sugar level is at 876. You know you don't forget certain things when they happen to you, right?" So I was at 876. Wow. So anyway, and she was like, "Call your family members." So I'm like, I didn't call my daughter because she was already on her way, because my granddaughter had a doctor's appointment, but her doctor admitted her because her blood pressure was up. And so he was like, "You might as well stay, because your baby, you in labor too." And so that's, my daughter was coming. But the doctor was telling me, "Well, call." I said, "No, my daughter is coming. When she come, I'll let her know, and she'll call people. But why do I gotta call people? And the doctor was saying, when you slip into a diabetic coma, 9 times out of 10 you won't come out the coma. And I said, well, that ain't finna happen. So she said, you should call your mom or, whatever. And I said, nope, I'm gonna call my grandma. So I got on the phone, called my grandma, and told her what was going on, and told her to pray. Because one thing about my granny, God favored her, and she's been serving God. She served God her entire life, even from childhood. It's just tripped out. And I know that she passed now, but I know she up in heaven, like telling Yahweh what to do and how to do it and everything else, because she was bossy. She was really bossy. But anyway, so she started praying. I started feeling better. And then I went from that point of not feeling like I was about to fall out. So they was monitoring me and all of these good things like that. And then they admitted me, and when they admitted me, I had to keep getting insulin shots and something in a drop thing that they was doing. It was just crazy. But while I was laying in the bed, I looked up octopus, demonic spirit. What is the demonic spirit of an octopus? And y'all won't believe this. I want you to go look it up too. And I saw it in Demon Busters when I Googled it. It is for diabetes. The octopus and the squid is a demonic spirit for diabetes. And I was like, what? And I knew something because of those two evil spirits that touched the top of my head. People think this stuff be a joke and stuff because they don't experience it. Just like the movie The Deliverance. Like, I experienced all of that stuff with she did in her movie with on my father's side, though, not my mama's side. And so, yeah. So anyway, of course, when I got out the hospital, I did everything that I was supposed to do, take my shots. I had to have 2 different types of insulin. So I was taking my shots, doing what I was supposed to do, eat right, all of that stuff. So fast forward a couple of years, my granny, she got sick. And so like my mom and myself and my auntie would watch her. And so my mother was watching her and I was there, and she was watching Jamal Bryant, and he was talking to this guy, and the guy was talking about diabetes and red meat and all of this stuff. So I started watching it with her. And then he said that he had a special on Netflix about What the Health. And I was like, I'm going to watch that, when we get finished watching the interview. So I turned to Netflix to watch the documentary, and he break it down to the core about how red meat, cow, all things cow, give you diabetes. And they was telling him like, no, that's not true, this and that. And they was kind of like going off because, I don't know, people want to have everything scientific and only they way. And so in the movie, he was breaking it down, saying how everything is related to red meat, to the cow, dairy especially, and how dairy, give you inflammation and all of that. I didn't know. But anyway, I'm going to do a part 2.